No sound, muted sound.
Way! Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us now?
No.
Yes. Yes, there will be.
Can you hear us now?
Jesse!
Thank you, Jesse.
Oh, good now. Good now.
You better start again.
I'm going to start again. Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. We've got a semi, and joining me for that is Jake Robson.
Hello.
Hello. It's hatless Jake Robson.
It is.
Which means you're off to a presser.
Absolutely, it's Friday.
Last week, Ipswich. This week,
Brentford.
Thomas Franks. You have pretty much done the rounds of the people linked with Spurs.
Yeah, I'll pass on your regards, I always say it.
So you've had McKenna, you've had Marco Silva, your doppelganger, I've decided.
Obrigado.
Iraola recently-ish.
Iraola, yeah.
Glasner. Who's left?
Thomas Frank.
Ancelotti. Jose, if you believe
I'm not going
Twitter.
out to Turkey. Yeah, Ancelotti. Yeah, that'd be funny, wouldn't it? But no, yes, Frank to complete the set. Watch live. Any fleeting remarks?
What, Thomas Frank?
Pass on? Yeah.
You've been linked
letters of love.
You've been linked with a UEFA Cup semi-finalist. How do you feel about that?
I'm sure he'll be very happy.
And also here, Gary Diamond. Hello.
Hello, I made it.
You made it. Thank you for coming in.
Is that your way of telling us that you nearly didn't?
Well, I did say to Johnny that I actually didn't want to be here this morning.
That's nice.
But he, I did.
You're not actually supposed to admit that.
No, I wanted to be here, but I had to pull a few strings and so on. And in answer to Daniel Pincus, yes, we've now got a hotel booked in Bilbao as well as the flights. Some people think ahead.
Yeah. Gary, Ryan, are we 180 minutes away from a live pod in Bilbao?
I'm not doing it.
It depends who you ask.
You are doing it, and we're getting.
I'm not.
You are, because it'd be hilarious. I don't know.
Well, it depends. It depends if you're going.
Yeah, I'll probably go.
If you're going, then the people expect a live pod from there.
Do they?
Yeah, this lot do.
I love you all dearly, but I don't know. There's other things to do.
Like what?
Yep.
I can't believe this conversation's even happening. It's actually ridiculous.
Why?
Because of course you're going to do a live pod from Bilbao. I don't know if I'm going to
Knowing you won't be there. It'll be your brother's birthday, or you'll have a press conference or something.
That is possible. I may well not be there, but we're also not there yet. Anyway,
we are not there yet. I mean, you called Bodo in our, can I say it, a pub team?
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Yeah. we should beat them.
Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute. We are all going to listen. If you didn't watch the interview, I say we did. I did, if I may say so. Jake pulled the strings. Jan Algafjortov came on Wednesday. I had a chat with him. He was really, really good. And I said,
that's an understatement.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
He was excellent.
He was really good.
Excellent.
If I said to him, and he did it from his log cabin in Lillehammer.
Of course he did.
And he was about to go on a cross-country ski. All those things are genuinely true. But I did say to him, if we get to Bodo, I'm coming to stay at your cabins. We might have a pod
He didn't
live
exactly
from
say
Lillehammer.
you're very welcome, though,
He didn't. And I did message him last night. I said, I'm coming, and he just laughed. So I haven't yet had the invite. I don't know, maybe it's on Airbnb. Maybe he'll send me the link. We're in a good mood, aren't we?
Maybe he thinks you're a weirdo.
He's not wrong. Bodo Glimt knocked out Celtic in the Conference League when Andrew was in charge. You're right, Daniel. I do remember that. I think it was just when he just started.
Must have been.
All right, a little bit of club news. Way back when on Monday, the under-21s played Everton, and in my head, they'd lost 5-1. I sent everyone a WhatsApp saying the under-21s have lost 5-1. And then I checked again, and it was 5-4.
Yeah.
I thought it was full-time. Spurs scored 3, certainly 2 very late goals, and lost 5-4. That, for me, is kind of the club news out of the way. I'm not going to let an episode pass without giving Ange some stick. He said a couple of things that rattled my cage, and not just mine, in the week. What did he say this week? I don't care what people think about me. I think when someone says that, they do care what people think about you. And then in the pre-match interview pitch side yesterday, he made a comment which I think was blown out of all proportion. He said, this club doesn't get to many semi-finals. I, as much as I'm not a fan of the guy, I think he meant European semi-finals. But
he obviously did.
But he didn't say it. Like, he's under so much pressure. Like, just be careful. Like, just say what you mean. Yeah. Obviously, straight away, social media. We've been in 8 semi-finals in the last 10 years. But that rattled people's cages.
Yeah, rightly so. We do get to semi-finals. We get to a lot of them. We are averaging almost 1 a season at this point. So
since 2015 now, 9 in the last 10 years.
9 in the last 10 years. So Just goes to show that we're putting ourselves in those positions to win things. We're just not quite getting over the line, but I don't think we've got a bigger chance than this.
What do you make of his comments? I don't care what people think about me.
Yeah, I don't care that he said that either.
Do you believe it, though?
I think that's a different matter. I think over the last few weeks, some of the things that he said in the press on that, in that subject, I think he's just been trying to do a them against us. We're all together in this. No one wants us to win. They're going to say that we're crap even if we win. No, we're not doing it for them.
Siege
we're
mentality.
100%.
Yeah, and that
is
works.
100%.
Mourinho's done it for 20 years.
Fergie did it forever. I mean, Fergie used to kick people out of press conferences. No, they don't care about us. They're just here to... It's slightly different now. And he doesn't have the credit in the bank, really, that Jose and Fergie did. I think he thinks he does. I think in his own mind, in his own career, from what he's achieved, because he has won things, I think he thinks that he's able to do that a bit better. And quite frankly, I think some of the players have bought into that as well, because I've heard interviews with a couple of players that have said, not quite the same, but they've sort of said, yeah, we're not listening to any of the outside noise. I know players always say that, but there's been a lot of outside noise.
Well, we had Van der Ven saying he didn't know why he hadn't been playing. That was a bit weird.
Yeah, but I don't think. Did you see it or did you read it?
I saw it.
Yeah, it was. Well, what's he going to say? I don't know why I'm not playing. It wasn't like, yeah, I don't know why I'm not playing. I'm just sat here doing nothing.
I'm just digging. Because we're going to praise Ange.
I think the reading. I think the problem is when you read quotes, it sounded completely different to the way he actually said it.
All right, your number one fan, Stuart Wakely's been on, saying you had some great comms at QPR at the weekend.
Oh,
do you see Yang play?
I did.
And
did all right.
Off the bench or he started?
No, he started. He did all right.
Yeah.
Remind me how old he is.
I'm going to guess at 19.
He didn't look out of place in a team that plays reasonably front foot passing football.
Yeah.
And whoever it was that came on here a few weeks ago and said he hasn't really done anything, I went actually after that because I was like, hold on a sec. The amount of appearances that he'd made when that person commented, he'd basically come off the bench. Yeah, it was just the biggest load of rubbish I've ever heard. And he scored a couple of goals as well. I mean, what more do you want?
He's just come into the big league. Compared to where he's been, this is a tough league. Was he playing up front? Was he wide?
Playing out wide.
How wide? He was 19 on Wednesday.
There you go. So he's basically been 18.
He was 18 when you saw him play.
Listen, I'm not going to say, I can't lie and say, yeah, he was fantastic. He was the best player on the pitch. I'm not going to, nothing like that. But the point is, he's playing in the Championship for QPR against Bristol City, who are fifth, playing really well this season. He didn't look out of place.
Okay,
I'm not sure what more. It's probably about the best you're gonna get.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
And it was. He hasn't started many games. It was a sort of rare start for him. So he did all right.
6 starts.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to talk about? All right. Well, that's short and sweet.
Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Easter.
A couple of people are making comments on the Van der Ven comment. And, I think Van der Ven could have gone about it a different way. That's the problem, right? Van der Ven could have said, obviously I've had a serious injury. He did say, I'm working with external professionals to get to know my body better and so on. Yeah. So the manager and I have decided to ease me back in and get minutes here and there and so on.
Which kind of really should have been the answer.
That should have been the answer. But for him to turn around and say, I want to play, you should ask the manager why I'm not, that's not a great sound, to be honest.
But players always say that.
No, they don't.
They do.
No, they don't.
They often go, when you say, do you hope to get more game time? Well, that's up to the manager. It's quite
it's interesting from Stephen Bruton, who I think is based in Holland. He said, I said to Johnny on Twitter, and he did, Stephen said to me, Van der Ven is Dutch, they're very direct, it's not how they work. Maybe.
He wasn't throwing the manager under the bus. He clearly wasn't throwing the manager.
Anyway, look.
The guy was sat next to him, wasn't he?
No.
No, is it not press conference where he sat next to him?
Oh, maybe. No, I don't think so.
Are you sure?
Anyway, whatever. It's done.
The problem is, we can read into it whatever you want to make of it, and whatever your assessment is what it will be. But that's what he said, and I just think there was a better way to have gone about it.
Yeah. All right, let's crack on then. Thursday night, Gary, credit to you. You said we would get through
because Frankfurt aren't very
we
good.
agreed. Frankfurt weren't great. Hang
on, sorry. Jorge Pena says, I think Gary wishes the players were throwing Ange under the bus. Absolutely not. If they wanted to throw him under the bus, they wouldn't have turned up last night.
Yeah.
Okay? I want the players to be professional. it just seems like that was a strange answer for me. I don't know why I'm not playing. You should ask the manager. I don't know how anybody can look at that and say that's a perfectly normal answer.
I'm moving on from that.
Will's coming for you as well.
Whatever they want.
I'm not angry at all. I feel
me either.
absolutely not angry. We talked. So Gary was right. He said last week he thinks we go through. I think I predicted a draw and jokingly said we'd go out on penalties because that's what German.
Well, I mean, could have done.
I actually, in fairness, you know, I'm not going to prove this to you. On a couple of WhatsApp groups, I was like, do you know what? I think we can win this if we turn up and play properly and turn up and play properly. We did. Eintracht, let's be real, were poor, and people say, oh, we made them poor. Whatever. Eintracht are not a good side. It was very apparent after half an hour. They were showing us a lot of respect, maybe too much respect. I think Jan Alger Fjortoft said it to us, and Kevin Hatchard said on Twitter after the game, he was a little bit surprised how much respect. And there might a Premier League Bundesliga thing, I think it was that Kevin said, or maybe it was Seb Stafford-Bloor actually. Premier League Bundesliga thing, I think they maybe gave Spurs too much respect. But anyway, we'll start with the lineup. Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Udogi, Bijval, Bentancur, Maddison, Johnson, Solanke, Tell. We knew that Son wasn't going to play. Again, the Spence thing, I wasn't surprised. I think we knew the fact that Spence had been dropped for the first leg and played against Wolves. He weren't playing last night, and it was all about who played instead of Son. Some wanted Kulusevski to start. It's unlike Ange at the moment to start a player who's barely played. I think overall, even not hindsight, I think it's a perfectly reasonable starting 11.
I thought Tell would start once I knew Son was out. I thought it had to be Tell, and then I guess the only issue was Kulusevski. I don't know. I just felt that Kulusevski can't have been fit enough to play even an hour. And actually, when he came on, he looked all right, but at 45 minutes or however long it was he had to play was probably more than they'd wanted from him, and I think that showed. Anyway, I think it was a toss of a coin. I mean, I don't think it was worth getting that exercised one way or another, whether it was Kulusevski, whether it was Johnson, because you knew Kulusevski was going to come on, and we might have had to go to extra time, and you'd want him there in extra time.
Yeah. And as we knew was going to happen, the atmosphere, they all get in there early, they bounce up and down.
That's all they did.
And we quietened them, and they, it wasn't a bad start. Not a lot happened. I don't remember them doing anything in the first 20 minutes.
I was expecting a big start from them, and it didn't come.
It didn't happen, and I noticed that not just in the first 20 minutes, throughout the game, Bergvall barely played in that half. He almost played as a 6 alongside Bentancur. There was structure. This wasn't Ange ball. We've asked what Ange ball is anymore. Whatever it is, this wasn't Ange ball. They sat in. This was a proper performance. Ollie said to me last night, he loved feeling nervous. Well, I haven't. It's a hot. You're sweating and your heart's racing and you're pacing up and down. And I was working on Rangers Bilbao, but God, I'm watching the Spurs game up there and I'm nervous. And the graphics go, "Can I have this plane?" And I'm like, "Shut up, Spurs have got a corner." Do you know, like. You're nervous. I haven't felt like that for such a long time. I think Liverpool at home in the League Cup was the last time I really felt on the edge of my seat. But in reality, when was the last time you felt that Spurs were digging in and grinding and you were heading everything and the ball's coming and I'm heading it in a TV gallery? It was just, that's what you want to see. And that's Ange adapting to the situation and the players adapting to the situation. And I'm going to give him credit and all of them credit because I don't think you can't not. I've given him enough stick.
Are you saying that Ange screwed Rangers over again?
Why?
Because Rangers didn't get the stats that Rangers get.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a really weird one. I thought the performance last night was excellent. It was the exact way to approach that game. The fullbacks weren't getting so high. The line wasn't so high. I sent my brother a message at halftime saying it's one of the only times this season that I can remember us playing percentage football. And what I mean by that is play the percentages, right? Don't take the risks. Play the easy balls. Play your way in. Do the right things. If that means going long at times, you go long. And the only time actually in the first half that we didn't play percentage football was in the 3 or 4 minutes after we went 1 up. And Bentancur, who had an otherwise excellent game, Bentancur started farting around, like doing silly things. And I'm like, oh my God, this whole time we've had so much control of the game, just doing the right things, doing the basics well. And that's all we needed to do. And then Bentancur started farting around. I thought it was a really good performance. But you say credit goes to Ange. Yeah, sure. Okay, he's the manager. We won a tough away game and we're through to the semi-finals. At face value, Ange gets credit. What I'm on the other side of things, our 3 biggest and best results this season, I'm not talking in terms of scoreline, but our 3 biggest and best results this season came playing that style of
Liverpool
football.
home?
Liverpool home 1-0, City home 1-0, last night 1-0 away, right? All 3 games.
I don't remember City home 1-0. How do I not remember this?
I think, was it in the
Oh,
Carabao?
in the cup, Werner. Yeah.
Absolutely sat in,
Yeah.
defended,
Yeah.
did the basics, didn't cough up chances. So you say Ange deserves credit. I'm looking at these performances saying there are games, there are times, particularly when you go away from home most weeks in the Premier League. Actually, to be fair, Brentford away was very similar.
yeah.
2-0 away, right? We sat in and we did the things right and we got our goals and we had the opportunities. And so you say Ange gets credit and I'm sat there scratching my head going, has he coached this? Is it circumstantial? But more than anything, this is a good, correct way to play. The 4 times we've actually done it, we've kept clean sheets and got really good results. So why hasn't he done it more? So is there credit, or is this Andrew a fool? Because
I
you can
don't think
actually see that this yields results.
Yeah, but I don't think we can't sit here and swipe at him all the time
No,
when we lose. And then
I
when we
understand what
win,
you're saying. You've got to give credit where it's due, right? But on the flip side, I'm looking at it going,
Why don't we do
should have
that?
been doing this.
Oh,
We
I
should have
get
been doing
that.
this a damn sight more.
100%. 100%.
It was a really good performance last night. Really good. Where it's come from, be it Ange, be it the team, whatever it is, it deserves credit all round because that's a tough away game. As convinced as I was that we would go there and win, we still had to go and do it. We are liable and have been to make stupid mistakes. God only knows we saw that against Wolves, right? Last night, the players were tuned in, heads on. They looked like they wanted it and they stepped up. And I said to you yesterday, this is a performance in which we will either start to fall in love with this team again. I said this to you.
You did.
Or they will show that they just don't deserve to be here.
You been falling in love with him again?
Absolutely 100%. No, 100%, because that was a proper performance last night.
Yeah.
Proper. Whether it was Ange or whatever, they all deserve credit. They all went there and they all churned it
We
out.
both said in the car, and I said last night, I wasn't going to go to Forest at home.
No,
But it's like that gif. Is it?
I can't wait. I want to bounce down from...
They've drawn me back in.
Yeah, but it's the Sopranos thing. Just when I was out, they draw me back in. You know, I wasn't.
We're
gonna
as
go to
fickle
Forest.
as anybody.
I'm going hopefully on Tuesday to Chessington with the kids, right? You know, like I was thinking to myself, I don't need to be out Monday night going to Forest. I promise you, I'll be bouncing down that high street to the stadium. Don't even care about the game. We're in a semi-final of the Europa League, right? And as much as I said from the beginning of the season, we will get to the final, and I'm adamant that we'll get to the final. And at this point, to not beat Bodo, and I'm not going to call them a pub team, but by God, we should get to the final now, right? And as much as I was adamant, we still have to do it, and we are a step away.
Yeah.
And I am buzzing, and particularly against the backdrop of such a dross, bad season, suddenly to have optimism and positivity and something to look forward to and excitement.
Because it could have been
particularly
over
when
this
that
morning.
other lot are bouncing around the place, right?
Yeah.
It was so important last night,
Yeah.
and thank you, Tottenham. Thank you, the boys on the pitch last night, for manning up, getting your big brass box out, and actually doing the job.
It could have been all right. It could have been such a totally different
But no,
pod.
thank you, Ange.
All of them. What do you want me to say here? Like, all of them don't care.
Daniel Levy,
Yeah, all of them, right? They all got the club.
Langer, Mann, the new
Cockerel.
bloke, the
Tottenham
chirpy.
Hotspur Football Club.
Chirpy.
Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
Gary Mabbutt.
Right, has got to the semi-final of the Europa League. Club that encompasses everybody involved, every fan sat at home watching, every fan who made that trip to Frankfurt, and a little shout out to Ollie Spiro's brother and his son Jamie, who are out there and are on their way home listening at the minute. Like, massive effort from all of you, right? Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, to a person, got to the semi-final last night, okay? And everyone, and round of applause to all of them. Now let's go and do it.
Daniel Pinkett. What about the mole? Yeah, the mole. You
mole.
too. Every single one. I noticed Daniel Pinkett hasn't been around for a while. We win a game and Daniel Pinkett is back. So hi, Daniel.
good.
How's Sydney?
Happy Danny.
One thing that highlighted last night, Romero and Van der Ven. I mean, it's so obvious. They are obviously our best centre half pairing. But what a centre half pairing.
but they haven't always
been that.
been that.
Yeah.
And
Did you enjoy the straight ball from their goalkeeper?
I did
Loved
think-
it so much.
Yeah, I mean Van der
What a
Ven getting
challenge.
back. What a challenge.
It shouldn't have been.
No, but better sides than us have had issues with that. I mean, City, Edison's got 4 assists this season, and I don't remember all of them, but I imagine most of them are from exactly that. So it can happen. But what I thought was interesting, not only when crosses were coming in, when corners were coming in, how well organised we were, but in open play, especially early on, how close together the two centre-backs were. I know what you were saying about the full-backs. But everyone said it forever. The most important thing about centre-backs is if they have got like a 50-yard gap between them, that's when you have problems.
Yeah.
And they managed to stay within maybe 25, 30 yards of each other, and they bossed it.
But helped by the fact that the fullbacks were staying back, so they weren't
Correct.
covering those large areas.
Correct.
You made the point that Bergvall almost played like a six. It did look like a double pivot with Bentancur and Bergvall. And the solidity and rigidity throughout the team, it didn't look like we were going to cough up chances.
Yeah.
I don't think Frankfurt are particularly good. Let's be honest, their right back is on loan from Leeds United. Their centre back is a guy that was at Leeds last season in one of the worst defences and got relegated, okay? Frankfurt, for me, were always overhyped. This is not to take away from Tottenham's performance. That's a very tough environment to go and win, okay? But the way we set up was exactly the way to set up in any away game, right? Two double pivots, full-backs in, centre-backs closer together, not covering so much wide spaces.
And this is an occasion where the high line works because you are up. And you've got, when your centre-backs have the ball, you are higher up in your half, where it means that just automatically you having the ball puts them under pressure. And they didn't really press us. I mean,
They didn't press us at all.
No.
It was strange, because apparently they're a pressing team.
Yeah.
But I sort of felt as though the reason for that is, and I made this point as well, last week at White Hart Lane, I said after the game, the players should have the sense that they've got the beating of this team.
Yep.
They did control that game. Ange has often said, we controlled the game, and I've not necessarily agreed with him. I actually felt last week...
totally in control.
I actually felt last week we really did control the game, and the players should have come... We've all played in football matches where we're like, you get that sense we're better than these.
Yeah.
Yeah? And your confidence grows and grows. And it would have worked in the inverse for them as well, okay? Spurs players last week would have been feeling... We're actually, there's nothing to fear here. We're better than these. And I think Frankfurt will have known as well, they're better than us. We're going to have to play in moments and take chances or whatever. And that's a lot of what sort of happened last night. I just think Frankfurt, you say they gave us respect. I think they just knew that we were better than them.
Yeah, but I still don't think they played their game with the lack of
do you know
pressing.
What's interesting though? I think that maybe all of that only became apparent after 20 minutes of the first game.
Oh, 100%.
So we would
Say
have
that
gone
again.
in.
No, 100%.
It only became apparent after 20 minutes or so of the first leg. So we
100%
may have
agree.
gone in there feeling like, we're really going to be under the pump here today. And
Yeah.
Frankfurt may have come there thinking, we could really do something. And after 20 minutes, it's almost like we broke their spirit within that time when they suddenly realised, hold on a sec.
We got hold of the ball.
This 14th place Premier League team is
Not
actually play.
As it was at
well.
the time, now 15.
and a bit the same last night. I mean, last night I was very surprised.
I 100% agree with you. The first 10 minutes of the first leg, I think Frankfurt felt these lot can't be very good. And I think we felt, these lot are third in the Bundesliga, they must be very good.
Yeah.
And Frankfurt took advantage and went 1-0 up. But you're absolutely right. That's the point I'm making, is after that, we grew into it. And I think the feeling started to grow amongst the players. We're actually better than these. They're not that good. Yeah. And they were not that good. But none of that is to take away. People will say, other fans will say, Spurs, if we get to the final, Spurs got to the final to beat Bodo Glimt. So what? It's still, you've still got to go and do it. Okay? You've still got to go and do it. Daniel Pink's making the point about the Goetze injury being super fortunate. I don't know, right? A couple of things on Goetze, and I mentioned this to you in the car, so I'll say this now. I would say similarly, Madison, I thought was controlling the game last night. So him going off was a bigger miss for us. A bigger miss for us than Goetze going off. But I made the point to you in the car on the way here that, again, speaking about the strength of Frankfurt, I don't think Goetze starts for any Premier League team.
Well, not a top. He would start for Southampton or
okay, fine.
For a top Premier League team.
I don't think he starts for a top. Where are we? 15. I don't think he starts for a top 15 Premier League team. The reason that he isn't at a top European team now is because he can't move.
His legs
he's 32, so he's not too old, but he can't move.
Well, he's had a lot of issues, health issues, injury issues.
And actually, I didn't really notice him in the first leg. I didn't really notice him last night. Okay, he went off, so obviously, but up until then, I don't think Goetze going off really influenced much, to be honest. In fact, the guy that came on very nearly scored there. Took the free kick, and he had the header. Which Goetze wouldn't have got the header. So,
right, let's talk about the goal itself. I think we did a very similar move. Madison scored a similar goal in Hoffenheim, I think, a long ball, which he took down and then finished.
Yeah.
This was Schumacher on Battiston. Was that 1980? Someone will correct me. 82 World Cup.
Before I was born, I'm afraid.
Bosnich on Klinsmann. Do you remember that at Villa Park? Goalkeepers get away with a lot.
I remember that. Yeah.
Goalkeepers get away with a little bit too much, and it looked like a penalty straight away. And it took a long time. Not as long
Clearly
as
the ref didn't see it.
No, how can you not see it?
Well, because he'd have given it, or he wouldn't have agreed with the VAR. He'd have said no.
they don't stand by their convictions. Do you think if he didn't have VAR, if he didn't have the backing of VAR, do you think we'd have been buggered, or do you think he would have given that?
No, he wouldn't have given it
because he did, but he clearly didn't. It looked bad, didn't it, when you saw it? But then it looked worse on the replay when you actually see the goalie coming out like that.
Terrible.
I hadn't quite seen it. And also, I thought maybe he got the ball first in real time. I think it was a classic one of as soon as you see it again, you realise.
So VAR did its job.
100%.
Why did it
That's
take
what it's
so
for.
long?
You can't criticise a ref if a decision, then the correct decision gets brought to on VAR. That's the point.
No, the process was correct. But what I wonder is, number one, why it took so long? Because you only need one look. You're like, that's
why
a
did
penalty.
that Arsenal decision take so
If, for example, a player goes through on goal, you see it all the time, gets the slightest touch on the ball, goes over the keeper, the ref can't wait to point to the spot. I mean, this was much more a penalty than any of those. This was the most stonewall penalty you will ever see. I actually wonder if it should have been a sending off.
I think the letter of the law says it's a yellow.
Funnily enough,
if he'd gone with his fists or something, then maybe.
Up until a couple of weeks ago, when it was us, I'd never seen a yellow given off the back of a VAR decision.
And now
I've seen it twice.
Oh, no, I have. Not for a goal score. I've never seen the SAR incident where we've scored a goal and you've gone back and been booked. Yeah, plenty of players get booked post VAR penalties.
Do they? I thought they can't.
Yeah.
Oh, for penalties.
It's because you have to dish out yellows via the law. Listen, it was a great ball. It was a great
Brilliant
ball
ball.
over the top.
It was
Great
Romero,
ball over
wasn't
the top. Madison got a good header on it.
Very brave.
And
Brave header.
Just jumping forward a little, I think we missed him when he came off. He's not been in great form, but he's still a top player.
He controlled it against them last week. He controlled it last
Kulu
night.
came on, and we know he can play in 10, but he's not. He is a 10, but he's not.
He's not Matt Sharp.
He's not Matt Sharp. He hasn't played in the 10 that much. Certainly recently, we definitely missed Madison. Great penalty.
On Dom Solanke stepping up.
Fine. He scored a load of
I
penalties.
assumed it would be him.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get.
No, it's a charade. That whole
and also,
thing.
I don't know what people have said about it this morning on Tinternet, but I don't know if Tell was actually saying, no, I'm going to have it.
No, it's a
He
charade.
was probably doing that thing where, do you not see the night before, Odegaard was stood there and then all of a sudden Saka.
They all do it.
Yeah, but I think some people thought that he was trying to take it off him, like had happened at the weekend, last weekend.
No. I think he was just protecting.
Didn't like his run-up, hate those short run-ups.
Yeah, but
If you read Ben Littleton's brilliant, he wrote a book on penalties. I've not read the full thing, but snippets. He said big pressure penalties, and Kane used to do this. Go down the middle because the goalkeeper is going to dive.
Has to dive.
Yeah. Mostly a goalkeeper's going to dive. Every now and then they stand up. Peter Cech did it in the last North London derby at White Hart Lane. Kane double bluffed him. Big pressure penalty. Cech stood up, and Kane smacked it into the bottom corner. But mostly goalkeepers are going to dive. But Kane's pressure penalty did it. City away, Liverpool away, but he missed.
Saka tried to go down the middle, but he got his foot to it, didn't he?
No, Saka sort of scuffed it a little bit, but he
wasn't quite down the middle,
and it wasn't high enough. The goalie.
But the point is, the keeper did dive. So
yeah.
Listen, stepped up, great penalty, good for him to score after.
He played very well last night, actually. At moments, he didn't hold it up as well, but he won some big headers when we were going long. Showed the benefit of going long. He can get his head to it. He can knock it down to a player. We can actually have the opportunity. I said to you on the way, it was quite a. It looked quite like Iraola, and that's how Bournemouth play. They get themselves up the pitch by going direct, and then they start the press from much higher up the pitch. And it looked like that, but he showed his value as a big target man last night.
I do like him. Sorry, Lord C. Van Dinger. I'm going to interrupt. If you haven't watched our Hill to Die On episode from about 3 weeks ago, go and watch that. Lord Van Dinger, my Hill to Die On is Kane isn't in our top 5 best players. Sorry. I had to bring that up.
Because he plays for Munich, right? Our top 5 best players now, Romero, Van der Ven. That's what you mean, Van Dingo, right?
No,
I'm not going to say I agree with him, but I see how you might get there.
How are you
going on a
getting
massive
there?
tangent.
I don't want to go down this road.
No, I'm not saying I agree with him, but but like that. you could name a 6-person shortlist.
Yeah,
and
you
then
could
have
go
Kane as
Hoddle,
number 6.
Greaves,
In no particular...
Ledley King,
No,
Bale, whatever, Bale.
Gaza,
Like,
Lineker. I mean, you could see how somebody could get there.
Lineker, no. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about other
Ginola.
things.
Solanke. So the man that has replaced him, Dominic Solanke. I think we should go long more. I think he should win. He doesn't win that many free kicks. His hold up play, I think, needs to improve. I really do.
I don't think it's. I think it's. I think when he's. I think it's not bad. I think it's tougher in Europe because I think you're gonna. I just think the space that you get and the time and the way that you're playing, you get more isolated, especially when you're away in Europe. I just think that people have criticised him. Would you rather? Would you rather he was in loads? What I think people have issue with is perhaps his goal scoring return.
Solanke,
and maybe his assists, especially in the last few months. But the fact is, when he gets into positions, he does the business.
Yep.
What it would be a lot worse is if we are creating loads of chances for him and he can't finish. That's not the criticism. I think people get confused with that. If we were creating lots of chances, then fine. But the fact is, it's not like he makes his way into these positions and misses them.
Yeah.
We just haven't been creating that many chances. I mean, we won last night with a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think we are a far stronger team for Solanke being in it than not in it, and I think he's an all-round very good asset to the team.
But also, he's not a reason that we don't create chances, and he's not a reason we don't score as many goals as we should have done.
Absolutely not.
In the last few weeks.
I mean, I mentioned on the pod the last time I was on that Ange made a funny comment about how he feels we've let Brennan Johnson down by not giving him more chances to score. But well, actually, I feel like we've been letting Solanke down by not giving him chances to score. Can we address a comment that was? Are you able to scroll up? Because I can't see it. I think somebody said something. And this is sort of.
We're going to come to it at the end.
This is sort of comment.
No, I want to come to it at the end.
That like
we're going to come to
me
it. We're going to come to it. We're going to trigger you in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Trigger.
Where were we? Solanke.
Yeah, the goal, getting to half time and he tucks it away. I mean, you don't like the short run-ups. I mean, the players practice.
No, it's their thing. It just scares me.
Yeah, it was a great penalty under a lot of pressure. Not only the game situation, he hasn't scored for, is it 3 months? I mean, I don't like those stats because he hasn't played every game in the last 3 months, but he hasn't scored for a long time. And that's why, I mean, that's partly why you pay 60 million, so that in those big moments, the guy can step up and do the business and do it very calmly.
As you know, we're on our own in here today because producer James is away. A technical something's just come up. I've sent you a WhatsApp. Can you read it and go and do it? That's really boring for people listening and watching. Have you got your phone on you?
I do.
Are you? Oh,
yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Oh, right. I'll just chat them.
Yeah, so we get to half time. I didn't think we controlled the start of the second half very well. We knew that.
The start second half was the only
they
time
were going to come. I think that's when we were missing Maddison. I think Kulu was putting a lot of energy into the game, but he wasn't holding it up and using players as well.
Yeah,
and I think going through the second half, I think we headed everything. We tackled, we blocked, we did all that brilliant stuff. But I think we were a little bit lucky.
We didn't create much that I can remember in the second half. We had moments.
There were a couple of headers from set pieces. Romero's header,
set pieces.
Johnson had a tap and a brilliant clearance by their I think it was Brown from Doggy's ball across. I think we were fortunate that all of their chances fell to the right back, the left foot right
for
back,
sure.
playing on loan at Leeds.
Actually, let me.
But that's called riding. You know, you have to ride your luck a bit in Europe. You're going to concede. We weren't going to go there and not concede any chances. But I don't think those.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't think
that
takes away.
They fell to him.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, how many of those Inter Milan performances how many chances did Barca miss in that game against Inter Milan?
Yeah, teams miss chances, right?
Yeah,
It's what happens, and they fell to him. I mean, one of them, I really thought, what, blimey.
Yeah.
What would have concerned me is if they had equalised, I wouldn't have backed us at that point. I really wouldn't have backed us at that point. But
especially
if you
away.
want credit to Ange, and I will actually give him credit here, is in starting Udogie and Porre.
Udogie had a very good game.
Because I've always sort of felt that Spence is a starter in any given game, either right or left. Ange called it. He played Udogie and Porro, and Udogie was superb. But again, superb not having to play in a number 10 role. He played as, guess what, a fullback, and had, guess what, his best game.
It was noticeable, though, that everything they did came from a direct ball to him, and he didn't win many of those headers. That was their plan at halftime was, we're going to get Christensen up against Udogie. He's going to win every header, and we're going to see what we can do with the second ball. It's still a problem, but we dealt with it.
Yeah, I think Udogie had a good game. Spence, for me, is still up there, but Ange made that call, and last night it worked, and he got it right. So
I was still a bit surprised he didn't make the changes a bit earlier. I was thinking, are we going to see maybe Sarr come on? I'm trying to think who else was on the bench. I wondered if he might have brought Spence on. Audebert, yeah, somewhat. Danso came on, I think, 85th minute.
How calm did he look, by the way?
Do you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking,
played 8 minutes.
When was the last time we were able to bring a defender on to see out a game?
Well, we did. Dragusin at Old Trafford came on.
Right.
But there's a couple of times.
That's literally once.
Yeah, a couple of times Dragusin came on.
It's amazing. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he looked really comfortable and calm. And
because he's experienced. That's the thing. I mean, I keep forgetting that we signed Danso this season because one of the things that we've complained about, quite rightly, is that we haven't signed enough experienced players. But to be able to bring on someone like Danso in that position in the game,
100%.
Fantastic.
100%.
A calm head, good on the ball.
You make a really good point. People have complained that we
me too.
Only sign kids and so on and so forth. But actually, we signed Danso, we signed Solanke. You look at the signings that actually we've made under Ange, okay? You've got Maddison.
I forget about Danzig, he's been injured.
Yeah. Maddison is an experienced player. Solanke is an experienced player. We have signed experience, and I think we need a bit more in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right on your point on Danso. To be able to bring him on, and when he came on, I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh, that means we're going to be really sitting in. At the same time, they haven't looked like scoring really yet. And if Danso's on now as well, how are they going to get their goal?
Yeah.
I did start to feel we're home here.
And for sure, there have been other times this season where we've been needing a goal and he's just thrown on all the attackers and you're like, did they plan for this? Last night, obviously, they've had meetings about what happens if we're leading and we need to protect it. Mickey, you go in here. Kuti, you go here. Dancer's going to come. I mean, quite clearly that's something that they looked at, because it didn't look like something that they were unprepared for.
Together. No.
Yeah. How good was that Romero at the end, though? I know he had a cut, but he's lying down on the floor. I didn't see a cut.
I don't like that.
Mate, the guy knows. He is Argentinian. 93rd minute, they've had an attack. You go down, you take time out of the game.
In principle, but actually the ref, who was desperate to give them anything that he could after giving us that penalty, which he didn't want to give us, added on a lot more time.
He did. But he added on. I don't think he added on too much. Yes, you're going to get time added on, but the point is it takes the sting out of their attack. It breaks up the game. Yeah. Any team with any experience
I didn't like
does
it. From a personal
Simeone's
point,
team would have been doing it from 20 minutes to go.
I know that clock's running to 95. When it gets to 95,
you don't,
done. When they add on, you don't know how much more. So I'm like,
that's like the discretion of the ref.
I'm thinking if this is Argentina, they're all at it. And Kuti was. I can only praise him.
Then the goalie clatters Solanke again, and
that was ridiculous.
He plays on until they attack. They lose the ball.
And then we're away.
3-on-1. We're away. He tops the game.
Yeah, and then he does a what's it called when he throws the ball? A drop ball. Basically by our goal.
Was desperate to give them whatever he could. I mean, that one where he stopped it was an utter disgrace.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Like, let's play and see if Frankfurt score. They haven't. Oh God, Tottenham could though. Let's stop the game. Like, literally, come on.
Listen, we did it. We're through. We are into the semi-final. And then you go on Twitter and you're rejoicing and you get people, I'm sorry to say, idiots really, like trying to point score. Where are the Ange outers now? Blah, blah, blah. We told you, listen, we've won a game. It's a great win. We've not achieved anything. We'll have that conversation when it happens, and it's still going to be, even if we win the Europa League, it's going to be a decision for Daniel Levy to make, and we'll have our opinions and we'll have our conversation, and we'll do all of that. But Timothy Whittaker, Gary, this is the question that was going to rattle you.
Can I just say before, are we done on the game? Or is this about the game?
Have you got anything else to say about the game?
I've got just a couple of funny bits that I noticed. One was Glenn Hoddle winning this game would be the icing on the cake. What's the cake? Finishing 16th in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And the other thing was my friend texted me last night. He was watching the game with his missus, and her analysis after about 20 minutes was poor football etiquette by the Frankfurt fans to whistle when we have the ball. And no one looks very happy.
Well, I've talked about how we play stressed.
There you go.
Timothy Whittaker. Gary, I'm going to rattle your cage. You still don't think winning a cup, even if we end in 17th, is a successful season?
Well, let me pick up on this, right? Number one, I've never defined or said that it wouldn't be a successful season. So let's not put words into my mouth. Winning this cup would be a huge success. Finishing 17th, two things can be true at the same time.
Correct.
Right? You can win the Europa League, which, again, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the season. I've never booked my flights or accommodation to any final anywhere so far in advance because I've got such belief that the quality of the competition in that tournament is so bad. And it really is, in my view, it's a low quality competition. That's not to take away from us winning it, but I said from the beginning, we should win this. Okay? So in that context, yeah, you still got to go and win it, and it's a huge success to actually do it.
Yeah.
At the same time, finishing anywhere below 10th is a shambles. And there's no two ways about that.
The only issue I think that there is with that as a sentiment, it's a good season to win, but the successful season part overarches everything. So ultimately, you are saying, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I'm just for clarity. They can't both be true. So if we win the Europa League, it is a successful season or it isn't a successful season.
No,
have we had a successful season if we win the Europa League? I think is the point.
Okay. If you want to put
Taking everything into account.
If you want to put it into binary black and white terms, then yes, winning the Europa League makes it a successful season.
Okay.
Of course it does. Okay. Even with the calibre of the competition being that low, I don't actually care about the calibre of the competition. It is a big
you get in the Champions
prize
League,
that gets us into the Champions League, right?
Absolutely.
So I'm not even going to mention the calibre of the competition anymore, okay? It is a successful season if you look at it in binary terms, black and white. But life doesn't work like that. We are currently 15th in the Premier League, having suffered more Premier League defeats than we've ever suffered before.
Yeah.
We are going to suffer more Premier League defeats before the end of the season. For an absolute certainty, it wouldn't surprise me if we lost to Forest. You look at the rest of we could lose another 5 games in the Premier League this season. How anybody can say, that is a successful season, it can't be, okay? It can't. This is winning the Europa League, thank God, because if we win it, and we still haven't won it, but if we win it, if we didn't win it, this would be without doubt the single worst season in our Premier League history.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yes, Premier League history, yes.
So I think you can look
What's
at it.
wrong with Timothy? Lol, winning it isn't successful. I've just said it is, you plonker.
Rodney, you plonker. I think if we win the Europa League and finish 17th, we would all be absolutely delighted.
Right.
But we have to
would you want to win? Would you want to finish 17th every season? What would that mean?
Absolutely
to win every. Of course. And look,
but
winning
in 15
would be a
years' time,
success.
we won't remember where we finished.
No, I would look
in
at
the
it and go, it was a dreadful season, but bloody hell, what a wonderful finish.
Yes.
But we would have to look at it in the short term and go, right, this can't keep happening because we're going to finish 17th. And not
Where
win
did we
the Europa
finish in
League again.
2008?
What, when we won the League Cup?
Yeah.
Lord Van Dingo just says,
I want to say,
this is our worst league season since 1934 or something. I'm not sure that can be true, because I think we've been
I think
relegated.
it's points per game, isn't it?
But the reality is, if we don't win the Europa League, this is the most abysmal season in my living memory. If we win it, it is a massive success to have won the Europa League. It is a huge, prestigious tournament. It gets that trophy thing off our back with a massive European win. We will have 4 European Cups, hopefully to Arsenal's 1 still, and that one doesn't even really count because it was not a proper one, not a UEFA recognised competition for them. So it is huge. And it would be a success, Timothy. I know people want... This is the problem at the moment with everybody. Everybody wants to be right. Oh, Anjin, you see now, la 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 la. This would be a successful season. Oh,
you have to look at.
You've got to look at it in
everything.
context,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You've got to look at it all in context. Okay, it
I
is of
think
course a
I get-
success,
I-
but the league season is a
Jake,
disaster.
we finished 11th in 2007-08.
Yeah, but no one remembers that. Exactly. You had to look it
I
up.
remember the great night out and the great day at Wembley, of course, but we will all remember and have a wonderful time in Bilbao. But we'll all have to think, right, we're in the Champions League.
Oh, we're going, are
What have we got to do? What have we got to buy? Who have we got to get rid of? We can't have that league season again because we're all paying a lot of money to watch us lose every single week. If you said to me, you're going to win a trophy every year and finish 17th, it's a conversation to have. But it's not going to happen.
But this is now. All I'm saying is in 10 years' time, if we won the Europa League
But
this
I don't
season,
care what I think in 10
we'd
years
probably
now.
forget. Well, we wouldn't forget because it was so bad. But my point is, in 2008, no one remembers where we finished in the Premier League.
No.
And okay, it wasn't as bad a season as this, but the reason that you don't remember is because all you remember that season for is Jonathan Woodgate heading in.
We would be delighted, and we would be delighted at winning a trophy, getting that monkey off our back, and being in the Champions League,
And a big trophy as
and
well.
a big old 100%. But you would have to be realistic and look at it in context and go, right, we've got to sort our shit. out.
100%.
And-
100%. I
just
don't think
to
anyone
contextualise-
denies that.
Just to contextualise how I personally value the Europa League trophy, in terms of the trophies I would choose to win in order, number 1, Champions League. I'd put that above the Premier League. I just would. That's my personal preference. Number 2, Premier League. Number 3, Europa League. Then the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Then the League Cup. Then the Conference.
There's an argument. I don't know about the Premier League, Champions League, but
I've got this as my third
Company man over here.
I put this above the FA Cup and the League Cup,
Oh, 100%.
and comfortably. So please, nobody come at me. Go, you see, this. That. Yes, winning it is a success.
I know
and
what you
overall,
mean.
it has to be a successful season. Yes. You have to say it in the context of we've won a
did
trophy.
Wigan have a successful season when they won the FA Cup and got relegated? Now,
Yes.
Danny Jameson, our Wigan fan friend, will say, you can never take that moment away
100%.
from me. And he says there are a lot of Wigan
100%.
fans who say it was a successful season. But they're Wigan. That's where they come from. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We should not be finishing 17th.
No,
and
absolutely.
here's the actual, and that's
Absolutely.
this is it, right? In my view, we should have finished no lower than 8th, and even 8th to me is low, and be winning the Europa League. That would have been a successful, hats off, Ange, season. Okay? But where we are at the moment, the crap we have suffered and gone through, the absolute rubbish we've seen in the league, more league defeats than in any other Premier League season, and many more to come. You can, hang your hat on that, right?
Yeah.
This is a tournament that we should have been winning, and if we'd have finished 8th in the league and won it, great season, one of the best in living memory. But to be 15th in a Premier League, only avoiding relegation because the 3 teams that are going down are so bad.
And the other thing, last night was great, and we've talked about how great it was, and we're all delighted. We've not yet achieved anything.
No.
So all the people
No.
saying you've been saying this and we've done this, and why Gary Becks, who was giving me crap on Twitter all night last night, he's been in the comments here. Why isn't everyone happy? We're happy. We're delighted. We've won a game. It's been so rare. We've not achieved
I'm
anything
so
yet.
excited. All right. And a part of the reason for my excitement is, guess what? We're playing Bodo Glimt in the semi-final. We have never had a bigger opportunity to get to a big cup final. If you said to any club anywhere, to get to the final of European competition, you're going to have to get through Bodo Glimt in the semis.
Oh.
I mean, do you know what I mean? Of course we're at,
You'd say we're in the Conference League.
yeah, like you would, honestly, right? But that's the level of the competition. Okay, and I don't want to take away from Bodo Glimt because they've done a great job to knock out Lazio. They should, and Jan Åge Fjordtoft made this point, and I made it in the aftermath of the show. I think I made the point last week. Bodo Glimt could have been 5 or 6 up in the first leg, right?
Yeah.
Going there is not going to be easy. They have an artificial
especially
pitch.
it snows.
It's going to be mid-May, so actually, I'd hope that the temperatures will be rising. They have an artificial pitch. We've already shown our how talented we are on an artificial pitch this season. We're going to have to take a lead there, a comfortable lead, okay? But the reality is, we're playing Bodo bloody Glimt, okay, in the semi-finals to get to the finals. Of course we're excited. I'm bouncing. I have said since the beginning of the season, I've been looking forwards to Bilbao.
Right. So I want to hear more about your Bilbao plans. You've had your
No,
flight.
we're not doing that.
No, but because Gary's, not you and me, because we haven't got. You booked your flight in when?
I think it was August.
September. Right. Okay. Really? Before we'd even played?
He was Anjin at that point.
Genuine.
He was so
Okay.
Anjin
And
at
as
that
of
point.
last night, you booked your.
I'm not underestimating Bodo Glimt to Daniel Pinkers. I literally just said.
Okay.
literally just said. But
You-
at the same
you can
time,
put that
Daniel,
on me.
if you could have chosen a team to be playing in the semi-final,
You can put it on me. I will sit here and say it now. If we don't beat Bodo Glimt, then they should all be sacked. I'm saying it now. You can put it on me.
It'll be a
I'm
disaster.
underestimating them. Yes, they're a good side, but no, I'm not having it.
Just a little bit on Bodo Glimt. I've worked on them a couple of times over the last few years.
Norwegian football, and we're going to talk
Goodness
about
me, it is very far north.
We're going
Luke
to
Barrett has actually just nailed it. Can I just
you
read
interrupt-
this?
you're just-
Sorry, I just need to read this. Luke Barrett has nailed it. I think some people have forgotten that they're actually meant to be Spurs fans. They're far too wrapped up in the it's just disappeared off the page. They're far too wrapped up in the Ange cult. This season has been a disaster, and that's right. You know, this whole thing about can you admit it's a successful season? Can you now be Ange in? I don't care about Ange. I don't care about him. I care about Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Winning the Europa League is massive for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, but it is a tournament we should win.
And in our comments again talking about sacking him. We're not talking about sacking him. If you win Europa League, there's a discussion to be had. We can all have our opinions. It's up to Daniel Levy. I suspect they won't sack him. And I'll sit here and go, oh, yeah, and I'll sit here and go, I understand why they haven't. But that's,
but they should.
Let's not have that conversation now.
They absolutely should sack him.
I want to talk about Bodo quickly.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
I have to run. It's my son's birthday. He did say, if you do the pod on my birthday, you've got to shout me out. So
Happy birthday,
here's
Daniel.
me shouting him out. I've done Bodo a couple of times. Norwegian football has had a bit of a resurgence. They've not qualified for a World Cup, I think since '94. Someone may correct me. They've got Haaland, they've got Odegaard, they've got Nusa. Haaland. Obviously, Bodo don't have those players, but Norwegian, they've got a lot of young players. Norwegian football has had a bit of a resurgence. They've smashed Roma a few years ago. They've beaten Ajax this year. They've beaten Olympiacos. Yes, they've lost to Karabag because let's be real, they're a Norwegian football team. They're not really that good. They are a decent team, like we have said. Bloody hell, we should be beating them.
But they're not as good as Frankfurt. Or are they now as good as Frankfurt?
I think Frankfurt put Lazio out.
I
think Frankfurt put Lazio are not a strong team. But yeah,
Also, they got past them on penalties, so they didn't play them off the park, and they nearly cocked it up last night. Okay, they were ahead, weren't they? And then
I don't think
they were 3-0 down, 3-1. They got back in. Listen, they're a decent.
They're through, but they're
a decent team.
They haven't beaten up Lazio, have they? Over 2 legs.
If we think Eintracht showed us respect as a Premier League team, Bodo are going to do that.
Oh, Jan Argefjordov must be so happy. This was the game he wanted.
Well, he wanted Frankfurt.
He said the Norwegians.
Yeah, the Norwegians. Yes,
Spurs Bodo
of a certain generation.
Yes,
yeah.
He wanted Eintracht Bodo because he's an Eintracht ambassador and former player.
He's a suit.
I mean, let's Bodo. Nobody is underestimating them. Nobody is taking them lightly. We've still got to get through them. They will cause us problems.
Yep.
But if I could have chosen a team in the knockout phases, if I looked up and down the list of teams to possibly be able to play,
They'd be
I would
one,
have had them.
they?
I would have had them. I think Rangers would have been harder than Bodo Glimt.
Rangers are poor.
They're poor. Yeah, they're poor.
Yeah, but going to Ibrox is always tough.
To Ibrox, like, you know,
or is it? Is that just the
point?
Well,
we drew one.
You're meant to say that. You're meant to say that.
Let me put it like this. If we go out to Bodo Glimt, is anybody anywhere going to say, yeah, but Bodo are a good team? That's not a disgrace. It's a disgrace.
You know, they finished. Bodo finished 9th. So they didn't even get through in the top 8. Yeah. They had to go to the playoffs.
This is as big an opportunity to make the final. I'm absolutely buzzing. You know, it doesn't take much as a football fan to just fall in love again, as you say, Johnny. Pull us back in. We can all now realistically start. I know loads of people already are starting to look at flights and so on. We're all starting to think ahead to Bilbao. It's as tough a season as this has been. I am absolutely bouncing with excitement. I've got so much to look forward to over the next 6 weeks, 4, 5, 6 weeks. I just pray we get through Bodo and we don't cock it up.
How would you feel if we played Man United in the final?
Well,
who would you rather, United or Bilbao?
I think United.
Do you? Yeah. At home, basically an away game.
It would be so Spursy to, having beaten them 3 times, to not beat them. But
have we conceded against them this season?
No, don't think so.
I think that last night's performance, a lot of that was down to Old Trafford, and I think in a one-off game at a neutral venue, I fancy us to beat United. Go to Bilbao for the final and play Atletico Bilbao is, I think, a much tougher proposition. A team that's been playing well. I mean, where did they finish in the? They finished second in the Euro. Okay, United finished third, but.
Yeah, look, I think both of them will be a tough. I wouldn't say we would go into that final as hot favourites against either of those, and they're both going to be tough games. And you know, I don't necessarily know that being at home for Bilbao is the advantage people think.
Oh, yeah, it is an advantage.
Yeah. Don't know. You're playing in your stadium, and suddenly it's not really your stadium. You've got half of it. The fans going and sitting in different seats. They're all sort of, you know. Yeah. I don't know.
There's the pressure. The pressure of doing it.
Yeah, the pressure of doing it in your home city. Look, there's. If we get to the final, I wouldn't make us hot favourites against either United or Bilbao. That will be a bloody tough game. Yeah. Okay. With that said, I think we are better than both of those teams if we play properly.
Yeah.
I was going to make one more point, but I can't remember. Somebody said, should we rotate over the coming weeks? And I know you've got to go.
I do have to go. We did forced us through in 2 against Man United, of course, in that League Cup tie. Did it end 4-3, 3-2?
Yeah.
I can't remember what happened just about last night. On playing Europa League finals in your stadium, looked this up yesterday. Sporting, it's 1-1. 1 win, 1 defeat for teams who have done it. Sporting Lisbon, Europa League.
Yep.
Sporting Lisbon lost their final and Feyenoord won their final. So it's happened. Just quickly, let's do a quick look ahead to Forest. Do we rotate? Obviously, we rotate heavily on Monday night. We then go to Liverpool, where let's let them win.
The look on your face says it all.
Well, Liverpool will win the title if they beat us. They could win it this weekend, but that would require Ipswich beating Arsenal. We rotate. It's all eggs in the basket again.
Incidentally, we've got 2 games before the first leg of Bodo. Bodo have got 3 games before the first leg.
Do they?
Yep. Their season has started now, and they've got 3 games before they play us in the first leg. They don't have a game in between, I should say.
They also have 3 players missing from last night's game. They had a red card, but he's a bit of a substitute anyway. They're very good, and he may even be captain, but he plays pretty much every game. Patrick Berg in midfield is suspended,
right,
and another winger who's in and out of the team but did start last night is also suspended. So they are 3 light going into that game.
Okay. Look, I think it's a bit of a duality to that question. I'm going to talk quickly because I know you've really got to go. Yeah. There's a duality to this. Okay, yes, I think we need to protect the likes of Van de Ven and we need to avoid injuries at all costs now, and we do need to make Bodo and then the final, should we get there, the biggest remaining games of our season, bar none, of course. At the same time, I don't think we can just throw up league games. Exactly. I think we need to be getting into a rhythm and a pattern of playing and building confidence in where we are. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
I think it's more likely we'll see rotations in the games after the Europa League than, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Like Liverpool, I think we'll play a stronger team. We're going to rotate this weekend. I think we go stronger against Liverpool because Sunday to Thursday.
I don't think we can risk it. I think I've got, despite what he said, I don't know why.
Well, Danso's fit; he can play.
Well, I'd have Van de Ven on the bench for both games.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a right.
No, you can't though, because he needs to play as well. You can't just have him off for 2 weeks.
I just think it is a real double-edged sword. You can't go getting thumped in the Premier League week on week and then turn up and beat Bodo. You need to be building confidence. Winning breeds winning. It's just one of the old cliches of sport, and it's fundamentally true. The more you win games, the more you build belief, the more you build confidence, the more you're going to win.
Where are you staying in Bilbao?
I don't know.
I want to know his plans.
I booked the flights very early on, and I left it to my brother, and he sent me a message last night saying he's found a
caravan park?
I think a hostel or something. I don't really care, to be honest.
Was he Judith Chalmers?
He said, I'll tell you what he did say. Actually, interesting. He said it's half hour walk from the stadium. Now that to me
perfect.
was
Can we stop? We are not there yet. Can we do all of this after Bodo?
That to me was important because
because you don't want to
getting out of that in Madrid
the
was an
Metropolitano.
absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Getting back to the hotel was a nightmare. So knowing that you're half an hour away, half hour walk, fine, whatever, great.
Yeah. On a lovely June evening in
Johnny's got to
Bilbao.
go. So what else should we talk about now? Just wind him up.
We're going. Quick prediction for Monday against Nottingham Forest.
Don't care, I'll be there. I won't barely be watching the game. I just want to go and sing Tottenham Hotspur are going to Bilbao. Bilbao.
There you go.
Tottenham Hotspur are going to Bilbao. Every thousands of years, my head to Tottenham Hotspur are going to Bilbao. Come on, you Spurs! Come on!
Excellent. He's there already.
And Jin.
Room on your hostel floor? Any room on the hostel floor?
Yeah.
Yeah?
More the merrier.
Is it a dorm?
I don't know what it is. I haven't even
I'm
looked at
going.
it.
Jake, quick prediction for Nottingham Forest.
God. I can't. 2-2.
Daniel Pinkers. If we lose to Bodo, just
bring the bleep machine.
At this moment, there was something went around the other day that there was how often there are swear words in Spurs podcasts.
Yes,
and we're currently third bottom. We do try to keep it clean, right?
We do.
I promise you now, if we lose to Bilbao to Bodo Glimt, we will be top of that. We won't. I don't even know if YouTube would be able to air it. So you're quite right, Daniel.
Take us off.
James will have to bring the bleeping machine. All right, I think we're going to draw with Forest because I think they might have gone a little bit. 1-1. All right, gentlemen, thank you. As for when we are back next, because we play Forest on Monday, we don't have a show on Monday because of the busyness of Launchpod Studio, which is great. We might not have a show until Friday. Looking into it, keep your eyes on the socials, but there won't be a show Monday, there won't be a show Tuesday. I'm thinking Friday before we play Liverpool to look back at Forest, look ahead to Liverpool, probably give them a guard of honour and give them the title. All right, so we'll be back next week at some point. Keep your eye on social media. Gentlemen, thank you. It's a happy pod. We've won. We are happy. We will see you next week. And
come on, you Spurs!
No, it's up the Spurs.
Whatever.
Right, I've got to press a button because James isn't here.
This is awkward
because I pressed end stream.
So...
Keep talking amongst yourselves.
Jesse.
James.
We're still on.
Yeah, well, we're still on, but we're not going to talk anymore because I've got to go.
All right. Well, okay.
All right.
Mic drop.
See ya.
Empty studio. We can end it.
Exit station. Where's the tech guys? Right here.
Oh, yeah.